If you want to make your life easier, make sure that what you receive at night is relevant. The categories help us a lot, especially to split which one are critical versus like the normal ones. Make SIGNL4 the umbrella, make it simpler and more efficient than having to play around in a different platform.
Welcome to another episode of the Derdack podcast, your source for insights into modern incident alerting and response for critical operations. In today's episode, Doreen Jacobi from Derdack is joined by Henri-Paul Bourassa, solution architect at EXO in Canada, to discuss how SIGNL4 helps organizations cut through alert noise and turn chaos into meaningful, actionable notifications. Discover how intelligent alerting ensures teams are only woken up when it truly matters, improving response times, reducing fatigue, and keeping critical operations running smoothly. Enjoy listening.
Hi, Henri. Very nice to have you on board here today for our podcast around alerting and incident response solutions. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about who you are and who EXO is.
So yes, hi Doreen. So my name is Henri-Paul, so I'm from Canada. I've been in IT for over 25 years, and we've been using SCOM in the company I'm working for, which is EXO. Where I live, it's Montreal, so it's a transportation company of the Greater Montreal. I am the RT administrator of this company, and we were looking for a good solution that will help us with our alerting incident at night.
You mentioned that you are using SCOM. So let's just go to that starting point. So for those of you who don't know, which I don't think will be a lot of people, but SCOM is Microsoft's monitoring solution. So you had a monitoring solution in place and you discovered that certain things were missing. Some people call it like you came across pain points or you had certain needs. Can we talk a little bit about what made you look for a solution?
SCOM is a great solution for certain things. It's great for Microsoft monitoring certain things, but is lacking in some aspect. And SCOM is only alerting you once, and it doesn't have any escalation. So most of the time during the night, people were like saying that, I didn't wake up because I didn't hear the notification, because this is way after the good old pager. So people had moved to email. And that little bing at night wasn't good enough to wake you up. So we were looking for something that will do that in between the solution we had in place and the alerting for the guy who are at night who needed to be waking up. And also a manager to be able to follow if they were not waking up at night to take care of the alert. So we look up at the internet. There were some script for that, but we tried it. It wasn't great. It wasn't working as expected. And then we did some additional research and we found Derdack SIGNL4, which offer multiple features that after we looking at it, we're covering multiple aspects that we were looking for. The escalation, the alerting. So from anywhere, and just to mention that each of the operator has the ability to be notified by, I think it's 4 or 5 different channels. Mm-hmm. So all that was very good for them to select what was a good recipe for them to get awake. And especially now with SIGNL4, you can also add the aspect of the first is email. If within 1 minute or 2 I didn't reply, you can alert me on a different channel. So you can escalate yourself before your manager get in touch and call you, which it's something you don't want to. So with all that covered, and this was like a great addition. So yes, I have so many other things to say, but I think that was covering the most important pinpoint that we wanted to cover.
when we talk about like how your teams are set up and why something like that would even be an issue, because some people might argue and they might say, yeah, but we have SCOM, and we can look at a dashboard, and we see what's going on. So I don't know, why do you need to add this mobile aspect of it, or as we refer to it, and you just mentioned the alerting from anywhere. You talked a little bit about it because you said it's the thing wasn't waking them up at night, but still people might say, hey, we have a call center, etc. So how is your particular operation set up that made something like this so important to you?
Because we're deserving critical application that require 24/7 monitoring. So those applications were very critical, and minutes were critical. So that's why if somebody wasn't waking up at night, yeah, the chain of people were asking why that people didn't wake up at night. So, well, just to reply that, well, I didn't hear the ding. It wasn't good answer. So on top of that, so that's why we had to come up with a good solution to prevent that. And I was trying to explain to the management at the time, like you mentioned, why do we need something on top of what we have already, is because SCOM only alerts you once. When it's done once, it doesn't keep alerting you, because in his mind, which is designed for, it's only alerting you once. But at least with SIGNL4, as long as the person didn't acknowledge the alert, it will get bombarded. And it's almost like a meme. It's a good meme because
I like that comparison. Yeah.
yeah, because they know, because at one point it was SIGNL4 is calling you, because some people were getting voice call at night because they had enabled all the channel. So it was like when they knew it was reaching you, the system was calling you, is because you had missed all the previous one. And that's why it became like a memes. SIGNL4 is make sure that you're waking up at night.
Right.
And at some point, if you want something even funny, at some point, yeah, even the operator's wife that was like monitoring, because they say, oh, I think SIGNL4 is calling you, so you better answer now because I need to sleep.
Well, as long as it wasn't like, some kind of jealousy related to that and
No.
SIGNL4 became a woman, I'm okay with it. But this is a very good reference because you also said that you had to argue with your management at the time why you would need something on top. And I think this is a good reference there for people listening, that sometimes you're not even aware of the gaps that you have until you need to report on certain things or things go terribly wrong. And of course, you want to avoid that at all costs. So that's a great reference. And yeah, I like the funny aspect there about the SIGNL4 is calling you. The use cases that you guys have set up right now maybe go past the pain points and what you were originally looking for. So how are you using the solution? What are the teams doing with it?
Well, right now we are integrating multi-platform that converge all to SIGNL4. To refer back to what I was saying at the beginning, because it was the beginning, they were getting a lot of alert because the system was new. Nothing was fully tweaked, but thank God in the system, in SIGNL4, you have the abilities of creating rules, which has reduced the amount of alerts that the guys receive at night. And the wife are happier because they're receiving less and less and less. Mm-hmm. So with SIGNL4, at least you have the abilities of creating those rules between 9 and 5 and the one at night. So we have introduced, because we're not like in normal teams where like you have the monitoring guy for telecom, one for servers, one for each of the single aspect. At night, it's one guy that answer for all the alerts. During the day, it's split across. Yeah. So that's why we made his life easier with SIGNL4. So during the day, each of the different team receive his own alerts, so they take care of their own alerts. But at night, at least we have focus only on the critical alerts. So at night, everything is silence except for the critical alerts. But at least, so he receive way less, and now everybody's happy. And the system is just keep improving.
That's great. So does have you had, because it's the one lucky guy, I think you mentioned it, or you called him, that is on duty. Have you had any feedback from these lucky guys? Are you maybe one of these lucky guys sometimes too? Do you rotate in, or are you out of
I
the
used
zone?
I used to be in the loop. Now I'm outside the loop, so but I understand
Mm,
their context, so I understand what they're like experiencing at night and everything. So that's why I'm trying to make their life easier, and that's why, like I like to say, if you want to make your life easier, make sure that what you receive at night is relevant.
mhm.
So just don't just acknowledge and say, oh, why did I get these alerts at night? It doesn't make sense and everything. So that's why we keep that. We always make sure that we tweak the system. We don't set and forget. So
Mhm.
that's the primary rule, because you always need to make sure that you need to tweak the alert, so you make sure you receive the proper ones. Because at one point, if you receive many, people just they don't stop looking at them, because they say, well, it's not their false alarm. But at least now they know when they get alerted, it's true. So they are more into it. So we added SCOM. Of course, SCOM is connected. We have Azure connected
Mhm.
to the platform. We have SolarWinds also connected, and we also have some devices that, like standalone devices, that we monitor through emails. So some platforms, they just send their notification directly to Signal4 and then get redistributed to the application team.
Okay. And would you say that this is also one of the things that you like, that it doesn't matter what platform, or as we call them, event source you have underneath, but you're able to have one communication layer on top, and like everything is the same way with respect to if you do receive something that's important, and it doesn't matter which system's coming from. Is that one of the key things for you?
It's looked like an umbrella to me,
Okay.
because we try to do that through SCOM, but SCOM getting older and more rigid, it doesn't support all the different modern technology. You cannot connect Azure easily through SCOM and maybe other system. You won't get the same result if you do it through SCOM than if you connect it directly to Signal 4. So making it like Signal 4 the umbrella, make it simpler and more efficient than having to play around in a different platform.
Right. When you look at things that you get feedback from the people that are using it, so your lucky guys, or some of the things that you might have in mind, where do you think the future will take you? So what kind of use cases can you envision?
The use case that we look, and it's still there. We look at it every time we open up the console. It's still there. It's the remote action
Hmm.
that we didn't look into it yet, but it's something in the near future, like because we like to automate things to
Okay.
improve at night, let's say for less value, or during the day for the less value. Let's say we want to add the free space to increase the free space. So this is something we want to add in the near future, some quick action in case of something restore the service, but we didn't have the time yet to play in those features. We
Yeah,
were
and
more,
that's
we were busy playing in the other features of the product. That's why.
is there anything that from the team, or that you yourself know, that stands out in Signal 4, that you like more than other things? And some people said it's like the aspect that it's the mobile app is so intuitive, or the mobile app in general. Some said certain nagging features. I think you mentioned it too. That was a main requirement, that you can continue to nag people. The personalization was one. People said they can visualize things, so something like that.
I will say I have a few. Um, just the fact that I can connect multiple sources to it, so I can monitor anything. I can monitor UPS just by sending its notification
Hmm.
somewhere, and then filter out which one are necessary. So even if the source solution doesn't have a proper filter system, you can always do it in Signal 4. So either ways, you always win. So this is one aspect. And the categories help us a lot, especially to this, to split which one are critical versus like the normal ones. Because we first started with the keywords, content, does not content. It was working, but the categories added something more. The new on duty, the way that you organize your weeks and everything. That's why I was saying there's so many nice features that we forgot about the remote action.
Right. Right.
And now we have the stakeholders features.
Right.
The AIs have so many, and all the people's using it. The operators are using it. Everybody has the managers who administrate the duties they're liking it. They have the flexibilities of, because sometimes it's not always the guy. Sometimes they have to switch who's going to be because of vacation. The system is easy friendly for them to fully understand that they're managing their crew. It's an easy to learn platform.
That's great. I think you've said everything there is to say. I mean, this is like really, really valuable. I think also for people to understand that, there is like two different things. So one is like how events are actually discovered, and a completely different game is how you communicate them. And you mentioned it there too, like how automated that communication process is at the end. So I think I would like to close out with just one question that might be of interest from somebody like you that has been exposed to our solution for a while now. Like, is there a certain advice or things that you would like to tell people listening in? Like, this is what you should keep in mind. Maybe this is something you thought you forgot, or this is why SIGNL4 is important, or you just in general, you said it too, like people's lives are a lot easier and they trust the alerts way more. But is there anything like that you would give people as a final advice?
Installing SIGNL4 is very easy. All the documentation is very easy for all your integration. Everything is well documented on all you connect the things. After that, the second work starts. But you just have to take the time to think the way you see you see your operation will be. Take the time to plan it. Discuss who's going to be using it, especially the operators. They have to be involved on what you're about to give them, so they give you feedback. And this is very important, because in some place they think that it's you manage the platform, so you are God, you decide and everything, and they have no decision on what's going on. And I think that if they bring their feedback, you will get a better system, and they will keep it clean, because they won't be they don't want to be alerted at night. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the key point. Even if it's a great system, it forces them to keep the system clean. Even if it's a great system to get alerted, you don't want to get alerted.
Yeah.
But at least you do it clean, so when they get alerted, it's because of the true alert. They will respect more the system.
Yeah, I like that. It's almost like you have your vision in your head of how things should be, which are no alerts, please. But if I do get alerts, then make sure they're relevant and I'm not woken up for nothing. And then design the system with all involved stakeholders in a way that you can rely on it and make sure that you get the best use out of it. And for that, I think the recommendation is great to say, everybody take a moment, sit back, relax, have everybody provide their feedback to you, and then design the process together. I think we couldn't end on a better note. This is perfect. Thank you so much, Henri, for spending the time with us and for being such a great customer.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Derdack podcast. A big thank you to Henri-Paul from EXO for sharing valuable insights on smarter alerting, escalation, and building trust in incident response processes. If you'd like to learn more about how SIGNL4 can help your organization achieve the same peace of mind, visit signal4.com. Be sure to subscribe so you won't miss future episodes, and share this podcast with your network. Until next time, stay alerted.